Hi, welcome to the podcast Open Minded. We've been having conversations about world leaders and how some of them have been handling this pandemic. And yeah, like we've been thinking about like how world leaders from the past and present have handled things.
So we're seeing now how, for example, Trump, he's I don't know if you guys seen that he's recommended this anti-malarial drug called hydroxychloroquine, and he's here and there he states anecdotal evidence, but the thing is that it's not 100% safe.
I also heard that like some people have died from that too, right?
Yeah, well, the case, for example, when a bunch of different sources of media were going after him, criticizing him because, I mean, according to them, he was prescribing the medicine, and they began to fault him for the couple who took this. They ingested this chemical substance that is used for cleaning fish tanks, and it wasn't hydroxychloroquine. It was different. It was just a different chemical substance.
Sorry.
And the problem is that, like, in the actual anecdotal evidence, it's not fully safe. That's why, for example, we haven't really heard from the CDC or, for example, the NIH that it's 100% sure to just cure your body from the virus. So is not sufficient evidence, but like he is prescribing it. Like I heard that he recommended to, well, if you have no other option, just use it. Or yeah, if you feel you're sick and there's no way to get to the hospital, well, just use it.
Yeah, it's just basically I think it's more of like a misinformation because like yeah, he like since he knows that it basically kills off bacteria in fish tanks. I'm like, of course. I'm like, if that kills off bacteria or like any
no.
But
the thing is that it's different. The substance that the couple used that killed them, it wasn't hydroxychloroquine. It was something else. Hydroxychloroquine is an actual anti-malarial drug. It's not the substance the couple used that was specifically made for cleaning fish tanks. And
so it's just pretty much they're ingesting the chemical, right?
Yeah, they were ingesting a chemical it's similar in some form, but it's not. It's exactly not hydroxychloroquine. And the thing is that there's been many more articles coming out of patients with lupus, and the thing is that the patients who have lupus, they depend on this drug.
What is lupus?
Lupus is basically a condition where your immune system gets out of order, and it begins to attack your body. So it begins to attack the cells in your organs. So what happens is that slowly your organs degenerate because the tissue in your organs, it's made up of cells, so it slowly breaks down. And it's more, in that case, it would be more effective than the virus, because your whole body is basically dying. And I mean, if you get the virus and you have lupus, you're gonna have organ failure, plus your immune system isn't targeting the virus, so it's not functioning well. And the thing is that, yeah, these people depend on the hydroxychloroquine, and I've seen many patients state that they're on their last week, they're on the last month, or they're out of hydroxychloroquine. And the thing is that since we are currently facing a pandemic, the pharmaceutical companies, they're going to favor the patients with coronavirus other than facing the patients with lupus.
So it's just basically they're taking like the treatment for people like with lupus and treating other people that have the virus, and like since they have that virus, but there's nothing like they're using it to treat it, but there's nothing like proven, right?
Yeah, well, there's in the anecdotal evidence that has been presented, there's been a good amount of patients that have survived the coronavirus.
Taking that medicine, or
Yeah, but there's still a good amount of cases of people who have been severely harmed or who have passed away from being
like using that drug.
Yeah, like being prescribed and observed by an actual physician.
Yeah, but it's pretty much like the same thing with like any drug. Like if you take steroids, right? There's benefits to it. I'm like you grow muscle, or you get, I don't know, like you take growth hormones and steroids, so like you'll grow taller, you'll be able to like actually like retain more muscle than just training by itself. But and then if you see what it does, it affects your kidneys too,
Makes your pee
and
small.
other things too. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that, well, for example, it's a little different because, for example, the patients who have survived, they haven't faced any damages. It just depends because, I mean, everybody's different. Everyone's going to have a different reaction to a different medication. That's why there's some people that have allergic reactions to certain medications and some people that don't. But the thing is that, yeah, they're seeing that for some people it has worked.
Oh yeah, that's like.
But the thing is that also there's some people that are taking it thinking it's going to reinforce your body.
Well,
And the thing is that it's not going to reinforce your body. It's not the same function as a vaccine that when you get injected, your body is going to, it's basically going to have the blueprint of what the virus is the upcoming virus is going to look like.
Yeah,
And the thing is that if you're taking the medication, it's just going to help your body fight off that virus. It's not going to reinforce your body before you get the virus.
I'd say like also like pretty much any clinic or hospital before like you have your appointment with the doctor, they always like make you sign a paper asking if you have like if you're allergic to anything. Because also like when the medication causes an allergic reaction, that could potentially be deadly, right?
And yeah, the thing is that, well, there's many people that are self medicating themselves. They're prescribing this medicine without being observed or being treated by an actual physician.
Yeah, because like at least they feel like if they're if like like they feel that the doctor doesn't know much, and since like they could take this treatment because the internet said that it treats a certain thing, they are gonna do it. Like even though if they don't ask their doctor first and all that stuff, and it might affect other things, because like let's say let's just say, I'm not saying that it happens, but let's just say that like this person takes that medication and they're taking like blood pressure medication too. So like let's say it might counter that the blood pressure medication, and now it affects you with your blood pressure too. So now you have a higher blood pressure and all that stuff too, without like it, because if you don't ask the doctor, like, and you feel like if you could self-medicate yourself, I'm like, of course it's gonna affect you in that way.
So what do you guys also think about like Trump, like wanting to reopen the economy, and also there's like he's like kind of cheering on people, like making protests and stuff.
Well, that's the problem is that one of the problems is that also like what if there's people that are asymptomatic and you reopen it? it would be reasonable to reopen it once a vaccine is introduced, and maybe like possibly like after a month, or just recording how many people have actually used the vaccine.
Yeah, or at least have like the majority of the people that already have the vaccine. I'm like, okay, the majority of like U.S. citizens have the vaccine already, so I think it should be good enough, because at least those people, the majority of the people that already have it, are not gonna get infected with the virus.
Also like well, we also need the country to like open the economy also, because like what if another recession happens? People aren't gonna be able to get healthcare at all, because like what if they're in urgent need of a surgery, they can't get it.
Well, in this situation, that's why the president has offered to I guess cover the treatment, so like patients who have the virus. And the thing is that also, what if you reopen it and there's another outbreak? How many people who are in that crowd of people are gonna get infected, and they're gonna take the infection, and they're gonna spread it to other people. So that's another problem, and it's just gonna slow everything down, and you're gonna have to start all over again.
Also, yeah, I mean, you also need to open it probably like little by little, open like certain things. I think probably gyms would probably be a good idea, but most people would probably need to have like a face mask or something.
Yeah, but and then like if you see in the gyms, they don't the people could barely keep the weights organized. Now you're expecting them to actually to clean their equipment too.
Well, it's not every single gym. Well, all you have to do, honestly, is just keep a mouth cover. That's it. Because I mean, it's known that it spreads through droplets coming out of your mouth. So, yeah, if you have a mouth cover, you don't have to worry. Just obviously cleaning your benches. But the thing is that you're gonna have to control the amount of people that could occupy a certain area. So
I think also they could try like spacing out machines and stuff, like make new policies.
Okay, well, I know you want to talk about like different leaders and the thing that they've done, like in like war times or whatever it is. There are war crimes, I think you could call it.
Not really war crimes, but like there's been like some crazy rules and policies that leaders have made. Like, example, North Korea's Kim Jong Un, like he like made like a haircut policy where like they have to have their hair at a certain length, and also they can only have like certain haircuts also.
They could only have like this one haircut. He's like, yeah, like at least his like, well, at least North Korea is a communistic company, so like pretty much he has the control of like his people, so he could censor them and make them do what he wants because he controls it.
Yeah, he has like complete control.
So like they don't really have much human rights and or if not like freedom of religion or something along those lines where they can express itself or have certain beliefs that they believe.
Yeah. Then also they don't really have like privacy. Because like it basically has cameras everywhere. And then if they see anyone like oh, like their haircut isn't the length I want it, they could get arrested. And things like that. And also I heard they could like they have to get haircuts basically like every 15 days also.
Well, what's the justification behind this? Haircut rule?
I don't really know, but
No, he just wants to keep his people under control. So if they're not able to express themselves and like not even with their haircut, then they might not try other things.
well, I've also heard that he has like forced labor camps also, where like basically people are forced to work under their own will, and yeah, people don't really have freedom
Yeah, like at least over here, we could do a lot more things in America. We could do a lot more things. Like there's no one like telling us, I'm like, oh yeah, you can't wear a certain length of clothes. I'm like that, like your shorts are too short, or you can't have mohawks, or you can have dreads or something like that because it's against, like, I don't know, it's against the U.S. policies or something like that.
Well, it depends on the area where you're, the area you're currently at. It's like if you're at school, you can't wear high heels or you can't wear a skirt.
I remember back then. I think it was like probably the early 1900s, where in beaches basically women weren't able to wear like bathing suits or something.
No, but that wasn't really like the U.S. policy. It was just more like social. It was just like more of a social.
Oh.
It was more socially taboo to, or
No,
I
but
don't know
like
if that's a proper word.
like
But
like police will actually arrest them. So it was like more like a policy. There's pictures and
no,
videos
well,
of,
like I think I think it's more because of like women didn't have rights.
I know back
They
then.
didn't have rights back then, so basically whatever your man tells you to do, you have to do, and you have to suck it up.
But in that time, there was rules. It's like when women didn't have the right to vote. It's something that has to do with that. Something that actually has to do with the politics.
Hmm.
So it's
So they had some rules, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until like when World War II started when the women actually were able to work.
Well,
yeah, because I think in World War II, that's when women
But-
started, like, they they were allowed to become soldiers too. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, like they started getting more freedom because now we're seeing that they're more powerful than what we thought they were.
Also, basically, like most of the men were going to fight in like the wars, and there wasn't really much people to like work the factories and
make
make
the production lines.
like planes, weapons, cars, and stuff like that. So women started working in the factories, and
Because all the men were going to war. And then, like, yeah, there's that famous picture. I don't remember
we
the
can't
name
do
of
that
it.
one. I forgot the lady's name. Things Rosie the Riveter, I think.
I think something like that.
Yeah,
Where, like, basically it was
telling them that like women can do it, like
Yeah.
they could work.
like women could do what men do. Like, of course, now it's more like now women are doing more and more things that men are doing. Like, if you see, they're in UFC, they're in wrestling, they're doing more things that at least back then men considered being more manly, or more of a manly thing.
Yeah, nowadays she like very successful women also. And also, I think in Shakespearean times, women weren't allowed to act. So basically, only men would act.
Yeah, but like there were some societies that had very powerful women. Like, it's not like for the longest time we only had men controlling everything. Like, I think if you see like in Egypt, there's that queen, I think, forgot her name, that famous Egyptian queen that that basically she had control over, I think her brother, I think she married her brother. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Then also there's in England more like most kings they would always try to have a son to rule after them because they wouldn't really want a queen to rule, so they would always have a son. But I think there's like a king, the father of Elizabeth the first, I think, and basically I think he only had her as a daughter. Then I think I'm not sure if she was she ruled or it was after her brother. But yeah, she became queen, and that was like probably one of the first female queens, and she like changed a lot of stuff in England also.
And like people started seeing that women could do it, and yeah, giving more power to women.
Yeah, and also like we've seen like well we know that we see like dogs and like other animals like do work like in like the police force, or also we see them in the army.
You know, like we've like for the longest time we've always used animals for like for war or to farm and all that stuff. And like yeah, like at least some animals that they use for wars. I think recently I think they still use them in World War Two. I think they still had some elephants. Like they had gun mounted elephants.
Oh yeah, I've seen that also. And also like Alexander the Great, and then the Roman Empire. Their leaders introduced elephants to their armies, and they would use them also. And there's been like some like really crazy ones, like in World War II, like they would use bat bombs.
So basically, they would strap bombs to bats.
No, they were like more like they would it was like a big metal container. They'll drop it, and it'll have a whole bunch of hibernating bats. And then once the bomb would like hit their target, all the bats would come out of the bomb. It wasn't really a bomb, more like a container. Then yeah, like probably.
What was it to like scare people off or?
Yeah, probably because like a lot of people are probably scared of bats.
It's pretty much like if they drop like a snake bomb or something.
Yeah, people were probably scared of that too.
Yeah, like imagine all of a sudden like there's snakes in your house because the bomb was dropped next to your house. Yeah, like I know I don't know what exactly like what war or what leader it was, but in they were developing like I think pigeon bombs, where basically that would strap bombs to pigeons, and basically I think they got like they started running wild. They started flying around. Somebody opened a cage and they started flying around, and basically I think that factory or that place where they were developing that weapon basically blew up because yeah, like the pigeons just started escaping their cages.
And then also the U.S. Navy like is trying to like train seals and dolphins to like be in the Navy. Then they're using like dolphins to like basically search for underwater mines, and then just so they could like warn the soldiers that there's a bomb nearby. Like don't sail the ship over there. Then also they use sea lions also to protect harbors. Cause also like there might be like I don't know, probably like an submarine. Attack. Yeah, submarine, and they could also warn. There also there could probably be like enemy divers also. So they'll be used for that. Well, they're doing several studies Some have been successful.
Yeah, and yeah, there's just like different weapons that like at least nowadays seem like if like like they don't seem like if we think about it, like it doesn't seem right because like it's like now we have like animal activists and all that stuff stopping that, and because yeah, it's a cruel thing to do.
Yeah, cause like those animals could die.
Mm-hmm. And like yeah, like at least like I don't know. I feel like if like you should rule differently. Like I started seeing Marco Polo, and I started seeing Marco Polo again, and basically it's a story of when Marco Polo met Genghis Khan. Like to me, that's yeah. He did a lot of shady things. He did a lot of shady things, but he's one of the rulers that sort of like I think did a lot of like good things or did a lot of right things that like at least leaders nowadays should pay attention to, because like I know like I think his story was where like I think in he his father was gonna go to a dinner. He was gonna go to a dinner. I think this is when he was around 6 or so. He was gonna go to a dinner, and from like this like rival, like let's say this rival village, and they're inviting him, and basically he thought that like the thing that they did back then, he basically I'm like, oh, he's not gonna attack me. We're friends now. But it turns out that they poisoned him. They poisoned Genghis Khan's father. Back then he had a different name. Um, but yeah, they poisoned his father, and basically swore revenge on on that village. So yeah, pretty much he grew up with wanting revenge and stuff, and basically when he was older, I think his cousin or his half brother or whatever it was, um, they started fighting, and I think he said that like he was talking like crap about his father because he loved his father. His father, at least to him, was amazing. Like he was a really great person, and yeah, like he was the ruler of his village. But since they took it over, he had to live with his half brother or cousin, and yeah, like he started talking crap about his father, and basically ended up killing him.
Well, I think also Genghis Khan recently he had like probably one of the biggest, most like expansive empires.
Yeah, yeah, like the biggest empire, because like at least the way that he saw things was that we should be like open minded and integrate a lot of things. So like let's say he wasn't afraid to bring I'm not sure what he believes. Let's just say he believed in his belief was Buddhism or whatever. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but let's just say it's Buddhism, and he wasn't afraid like to introduce like people into like just
So he was like very like open.
yeah, he
to,
was
like,
open minded
accept
to like
up.
religion. Like I think he had Christianity in there too in his group. He was open to it, and like let's say like people in his group that were like, why are you inviting Christians or Catholics into into your kingdom? Like it doesn't seem right, because now they're changing how they think. And like yeah, like he put a lot of people in power. Like he had I think he had white guys in his he had like Europeans in his group too. He had Europeans, I think like some Asian, I'm not sure what exactly, probably Japanese or Chinese. He had like a lot of Asian, not just Mongolian people in his kingdom controlling it. So like yeah, like if you see he was pretty open minded, and like I think he was the person that made the Silk Road too. The Silk Road is basically this really like
Trade
good
route.
like trade route where like pretty much only like the people who had like a certain token or had like papers in order to like go through there would, and like everybody wanted to go through that Silk Road because it went through like a lot of places where they could trade stuff too.
Yeah,
So
trade
like
silk also.
yeah, like
Mainly.
a lot of people wanted access to it because they were able to trade like I don't know like the main capital of Mongolia or whatever is wherever he put his kingdom. They were able to trade with him, and then like since they had the right to pass through there, they had his protection too. So like his Mongol army would protect people like from being raided, like if they were passing through the Silk Road too. And yeah, like he's just like at least how I see like a lot of leaders tend to be close minded, and they don't want to change and they don't want to integrate a lot of things too into into their like into their like kingdom or like the country that they're currently like the president or prime minister for.
Well, you have to say. You also have to say how long they've been raised under such a such a lifestyle. It's like you kind of. It's like yeah, it's bad, but like it's like if you have a male who's very sexist and he's always been raised that way. Yeah, it's not good to be sexist, but you also have to take in consideration that he's been raised that way his whole life. So you have to wait, or you have to help him to readapt, to just reshape his way of thinking, his way of valuing women or other genders. It's not just like he's a horrible person for thinking that way, but like he also you have to see that he's been raised that way, so you have to take that in consideration. And it was probably different with him. It depends how his parents raised him or how his caretakers raised him, and he was obviously raised differently than other people. So
Yeah, like basically slowly humans adapt to like new things. Yeah.
And like yeah, like basically he was sort of ahead of his time, but like yeah, like the thing is he loved women too, so he had like a bunch of concubines too. Basically they're like ladies of the night or whores. He had a bunch of them, and I think he even had his own like little pleasure tent or house where he would go there and basically have like a big orgy with women. And he wasn't against that, but and then of course like he didn't know that by sleeping with a lot of women you could actually contract something too, because like at least yeah, that was the past. A lot of people didn't know about like viruses or all these things. And the thing with him too is like he liked promoting new things. Like let's say if there's this new type of weapon or there's this new way of like combating like people in like well at least using new strategies for his army, he wasn't afraid to use them or at least try them out. Like I think for a lot of them I think I'm not sure if it was exactly that. I don't remember all too well, but basically he had like a bunch of horses, and he lit them all on fire, and basically he had them all run through a camp, like his enemy camp, and yeah, because of course horses, they're gonna be burning him, like they're gonna go crazy, so they went through the camp and they started burning everything. Like he wasn't afraid to be cruel too, but he liked bringing in new ideas too, so he wasn't afraid to let's say like yeah, like what I told you, like bring in different religions into his kingdom. And like yeah, like I think in his let's say in his like little court, his small court or whatever you could call it, he like I think he had white people, he had Japanese, I think he even had like an Indian person, or he just had like a lot of like people. He didn't just like have like just mongrels in his kingdom. He um he basically like got ideas from different let's say religions or upbringings too. So yeah, so he'll be able to let's say like control his country way better, or just yeah, just like not be centered and like only have one idea. And because like if you only have one way of doing things, like you're gonna be like it's gonna your people are gonna be able to predict you so much easier. So like yeah, like if you're bringing in like different people from around the world, and of course they're all gonna grow up different. Like let's say I grew up different from like somebody from Europe, or somebody from Asia or Russia or wherever it is. So we're gonna have different ideas towards like how to accomplish something. And yeah, of course, if I'm involved with more people from around the world, I'll be more open minded and not be centered, not be centered to like one thing. And yeah, at least that's my take on it.
Well, I think like with every new leader that introduces like new ideas, like it's slowly
Gonna change
yeah,
it.
it's gonna change.
Like of course you don't like you can't expect just one person to like change everything completely. Like let's say yeah, like there could be somebody that um could try to change like the country for the good, but it's gonna take years, because at least this country has been, at least a certain country or whatever country has had those ideas or has had that way of actually working for a while. And then like let's say if like a president, like let's say like in the US a president comes in, he only has a couple of years to actually change anything, and that's if he gets reelected too.
But then also like he leaves like he probably influences the people around him.
Well, right here in America, it's different. That's why, I mean, you don't hear in America there's a bunch of injustice policies and other things going on, because you have the checks and balances,
Mm-hmm.
which make sure the president or the Congress um, or the Supreme Court isn't uh, doing unlawful things. So that's why it's slow. It's a slow process, but it's well, like the outcome at the end of the day, it's a lot better
And it's
than
more of
like
a
any
fair
other
system.
countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, this is the end to this podcast. Thank you for watching, and bye.